welcome to ECCB Connects, a production of the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank, to share with you who we are, what we do, and how we serve you. We continue to share with you excerpts from Governor Antoine's engagement with the media in Montserrat. That engagement was part of his 2022 round of country outreach mission to the 8 ECCB member countries. We'll have the details after this message.
Do you own or manage a business? Interested in saving time and money? How about expanding your business? Then the Dcash Merchant app is for you. Receive digital EC payments instantly from Dcash customers anywhere via your smart device. Create invoices and track transactions easily in the app and avoid the hassle of handling physical cash. Visit dcashec.com today for more information and to sign up. Dcash, the digital version of your EC dollar.
Thanks for staying connected. As part of his 2022 round of country outreach mission to the 8 ECCB member countries, Governor of the ECCB Timothy N. Antoine led a delegation to Montserrat from the 8th to the 10th June. Over that period, the governor held engagements with key stakeholders, including government officials, political leaders, bankers, social partners, and the media. In our last program, we shared with you excerpts from the session with the local media. The issues raised included Dcash, inflation, and how Montserrat could be better positioned to transform its economy. This week, we're pleased to share with you the continuation of Governor Antoine's engagement with the media in Montserrat.
The Bright Spark program you spoke about last night, I'm not sure if everybody or most people understood what you meant by the Bright Spark program. So if you can explain a little about it. And then it's sort of a double-barreled question, but what do we have to do here on Montserrat to get someone or some organization or school or whatever to be on that?
Essentially what it is, it's an internship program for people in IT, information technology. We call it Bright Sparks. I'm sure you understand why we like that particular name. What we look for are students who are just about finished with the A-levels, CAPE. So they're typically probably 18, 19, thereabouts, male or female. And they have to have that background in IT. So they have to come to us with some background and some interest in the field. Typically, these are students who are going on to do a career in IT or STEM. But what we offer them is an opportunity to come to our central bank and get on the job experience, 6 months, a year. And I can also tell you, we've had a number of these Bright Sparks as well. They're now on our staff. And it gives you an opportunity to contribute to ECCB and ECCB to contribute to your professional development. Typically, how we work is that we reach out to state colleges or community colleges, and we seek appropriate applicants.
Do you think that the Eastern Caribbean currently has the wherewithal to keep abreast with the changes in business structures and also the adaptation of e-commerce?
We need to learn from you. We need to learn from you. So I'm not going to sit here and pretend that we are up to speed. We are trying. At least this central bank is actually making an effort. I'm not criticizing anybody else. I'm just saying we are open, we are forward-looking and leaning, but we also recognize you have to talk to industry. We have to talk to people like you who are in this business, and then I have to understand from you. We have to understand what can we do to help you succeed. We need businesses to succeed. So I want to have a better understanding of what these bottlenecks are. For example, one of the things I keep hearing, and I've asked our team to look into it, is that PayPal is expensive. It is
just
different.
about to mention that.
Yeah, I want to get around that hurdle. We have to figure out something there. I'm invested in looking with you at how we can treat with that. So The way I see it is that if we're going to push innovation, the central bank has to have a close collaboration with the private sector, with industry, to understand your pain points and to see what response we can give at the regulatory side, at the policy side, at the legal side to enable you. But it's not going to happen from us sitting in our offices. That's why we have to hit the road and come and talk to you. That's why you have to feed back to us. Even when we don't come physically, you have to feed stuff into us and say, hey, this is the issues, here's what I think you can do. But what you will have, or what you have, is an open mind, a central bank with an open mind, and a disposition to help. And I hope that will make you feel comfortable to come to us and bring your issues, put your ideas on the table, and see if we could find a way to support you in your endeavors.
Okay, my last question for now is, Jamaica and Barbados will in the next 6 months become the first two territories to access a new pan-Caribbean digital payment settlement system called Carib Dollar. In your conversation with Ms. Alexander last night, you mentioned the establishment of a regional standard-setting agency. Will the new agency be responsible for developing new policies or legislation to boost the potential of crypto assets in the Eastern Caribbean Currency Union?
Yes, virtual assets will be covered there. But I will say to you in response to the first comment that we are part of a regional payments group that is looking at some of the possibilities that you just mentioned in terms of what Jamaica and others are doing. But yes, the standard setting body is intended to look at a number of things. For example, we've looked at virtual assets so far, and of course, payment system. If you look at our strategic plan, you will see a pillar called Payments Modernization and Financial Inclusion. That's where a lot of the action will be in terms of addressing some of these concerns. So yes, it will pick that up. But again, if you have a particular thing that you think we need to know now, or we could focus on now to try to expedite the business environment and support that, let us know.
What about policies and legislation? Is that within your remit?
Yes.
Or is that the monetary fund? The monetary, not the monetary fund,
Council?
sorry, the monetary council.
Yes, so it's within our remit. So how it works is that we actually propose to the Monetary Council the draft legislation and the policies. So we go to our board, we get our board to consider and approve, and then to recommend to the Monetary Council. Once the Monetary Council approves it, it is basically a recommendation to our member countries to pass in their member countries.
Let's move to food security. Now, the President of Guyana, Dr. Irfan Ali, and of course, Antigua Barbuda's Prime Minister Gaston Brown, they were strong in, organizing transportation throughout the region to move produce from island to island, territory to territory. Is this something that the bank is taking great interest in so that we can move in this direction?
We're taking great interest as an encourager. So we're not actually providing a service. So I just want to be clear what our role is. It's advocacy for the need to connect. In this case, logistics to make sure that food can move back and forth, because you and I know some countries do not have, some countries have deficits, some have surplus. But you need a ship to move the thing, to move the food. That is where we've fallen down. So we have taken great interest in what is going on with that initiative. I've spoken to colleagues in Guyana, and we are following that closely. And we want to see, how that initiative can be of benefit to the Eastern Caribbean. Obviously, Guyana wants to sell certain things, which is fine. We also have things we want to sell. And we have to be able to move the food around in the appropriate way within the currency union and beyond. So that's something I'm cautiously hopeful that this time we will see something actually happen.
You talked about renewable energy, the model that ECCB is doing. Are you actively championing and asking of other governments to do the same with their infrastructures? We know that a lot of the, especially for Montserrat, our funding is all international, and we're building new buildings, but there is not a sense of we need to actually make sure they're all renewable. What is the ECCB doing, or is it actively encouraging the ECCU countries to practice that model that you have started in St. Kitts?
Absolutely. And that's one of the reasons why we did it. Beyond saving ourselves money, carbon emissions, we also wanted to create a demonstration effect. to encourage our countries. So we are bringing this message. Oh yes, absolutely. And we're also advocating internationally. So in terms of the renewable energy facility that I mentioned, that is something we want to see more of, and we are advocating. So I think when we're building, we have to build for renewable energy. And by the way, I also think we have to build smarter with respect to water consumption, because we are water poor or water scarce countries. And what we see with the climate suggests that we are going to have even greater and greater challenges with water. Some of our countries already have water problems. Only last week, St. Kitts announced they have to go with desalination. I know Antigua is looking at their water options. So I'm simply saying this whole issue of sustainability for construction, I think, has to be baked into the cake or in the code in terms of how we go forward.
What support can the ECCB or even the governments provide for farmers to, grow their demand, and by growing their demand, they're getting more business?
Right. So what we've identified are several policy actions, and again, time wouldn't permit, but some months ago, under the chairmanship of, in fact, Premier Farrell, who's the chairman of council, we had a very detailed discussion on food and nutrition security at the level of the Monetary Council. That's the only item we discussed that day. Focus, we call it policy sessions, and identified 4 or 5 areas. I wish I had time to get into that in terms of what policy actions we need to do in different areas for food production, for tax support, for social education. But I will say the following very quickly. It starts with what we want, mindset. Are we going to make a choice? Then we have to look at public policy, because you're right, some of the ultra-processed foods are far cheaper than locals. But here's the thing. If we can get a commitment to buy local, and we can get the requisite mix, then you can see the lowering of some of these prices as more, and see a bigger market, because this is an issue. If more people were eating local, then you could in fact see the prices come down because you have a bigger market. But there are a number of things that have to come together. Somebody mentioned pests and diseases this morning. In some countries, you're dealing with predial larceny. So there are a range of issues that we have to look at to make the thing work. But we absolutely believe that these are things that are possible. And certainly, if you go back to starting with the fact that almost 8 in 10 deaths in our region come from NCDs, non-communicable diseases, we have to ask ourselves, we scream over the pandemic, but we have an epidemic that is going almost unnoticed. What are we doing about it? If we think about those things, think about people who are amputees because of diabetes. Think about the costs on the public purse. Think about quality of life and people who can no longer earn a living and take care of their families. I mean, it goes on and on. I think we could come up with a response to deal with food and nutrition security.
And now for this week's financial tip.
As adults, let us also encourage our children to save and budget from an early age. Let us start now.
That's how we end this episode of ECCB Connects. Thank you for watching, and be sure to connect with us next week for another program.